Well, it doesn't get much better than this, does it? When you're talking about the Championship, the gentleman sitting opposite me has managed 11 clubs in the second tier. Notts County, Oldham, Bury, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, QPR, Leeds, Rotherham, Cardiff, Middlesbrough and Huddersfield. Neil Warnock, if I were to say to you there is no bigger figure in Championship football over the past 3 decades, what would be your response?
Yeah, to be fair, I had a little spell up in Aberdeen, but I realised when I was up there that the Championship's my division. I just love the Championship. Everybody can beat everybody else, and that's why whenever I've got promotion, I've never had the best team ever. I've got promotion by having the best dressing room, and that's why I look at the contenders and managers, and it's never going to be as close at the top of the division and the bottom of the division. It's just a fantastic division this year.
Let's talk about this promotion race. Leicester look really, really close now, but it's nervy. Now, I recall your Cardiff team drawing 0-0 on the final day of the season at struggling Reading, and I think about a month before that you'd won 8 games on the trot, and it all looked certain. Talk to me about this tension in players and what it does to them and getting over the line, and if you can recall that game between Cardiff and Reading as well.
I just think you can't actually describe it. It's, from myself, I used to get up on a match day and I'd have to have my breakfast before 10 o'clock because I couldn't eat anything after that. By 12 o'clock, all my butterflies, my stomach, even at my age, is going round. And then I get to the ground and I go in my office and and I sit behind the door and I relax a little bit. But you can't describe the players. You try and take a little bit off the players. I always went in the dressing room sort of an hour and a half before and had a laugh about somebody's gear or something that I've heard about, and just to try and get rid of the sort of pressure. But the pressure's there, and that's why we're in it for what we are. I remember last year, even just now this year, I've been helping Huddersfield out. And I remember last year we were supposed to be relegated, and we had 2 games to play. And if we lost to Sheffield United, we had it all on Reading on the last game. And Reading, they were a better goal difference than us, so they would go up automatic if we lost. And Sheffield United were flying. And the 80-something minute we scored the winner, and the relief, not just with me, with all the fans, with everything, to know that it wasn't going to the last game. Whereas at Cardiff, it was the last game and anything could happen. And it was...
And Fulham were really chasing you down as well, weren't they?
Oh, very nauseating. And, and of course, Reading have been foes of mine for many years. Pity we're not doing a show at Reading. I'd have had to have a dozen minders around me.
Can I just say, Neil, that season I covered Cardiff's game at Reading, and if you wanted a classic Neil Warnock night, I don't know if you remember, you drew 2-2, you were 2-0 down, they scored a couple of set plays, you got red carded, but then you made a double substitution to get it back from... so it had everything. It had the Warnock red card, it had the Reading fans winding you up, but you made the difference at the end.
We got a result. And, I made the substitutions from the television group inside. I got sent off and I went straight into the room and watched it. Then I rang one of the lads on the bench, told him about the subs and what have you. And then to see us score and then get the equaliser. I wanted to run out, but I knew I'd get fined. I wanted to run out around. I've had some great banter with Reading, over the last few years. That's another club I've always wanted to manage, Reading as well. So it's a pity that I've never had the opportunity. Since Majeski was there, I've always liked that club. And I've had some, right battles with them, where I think they got 100 points and we were close when I was at Sheffield United, so good.
Daniel Farker is going for a 3rd promotion. Obviously knows what it takes to get promotion.
I think, you can. I mean, it's got to be an advantage, I suppose, because you've been there and seen it all and done it all. But sometimes it could be a disadvantage, I think, as well. I think when you're like Kieran, a young manager, you've nothing to fall back on, so you're just yourself. You've just got yourself to do it, and what he's been doing the last 2 years can't be bad, can it? So I don't think he needs any help. I think with Daniel, it's a different game in the fact that Leeds are supposed to be promoted. Leicester, when I saw Leicester early on, we lost 1-0 at Huddersfield and we should have beaten them. And our goalkeeper threw one in that night. We lost 1-0 and it was disappointing. But when you looked at the programme, they had 2 teams that should get promoted. The strength of their squad, same with Leeds, the squad, the numbers, they should be head and shoulders. Southampton, they should be miles ahead of Ipswich when you look at the squads. So, I don't think I can tell Kieran what to do because I think he's just got to be himself. It hasn't done bad so far.
Absolutely not. Everybody sort of talks about the difficulty of teams that are in the automatic promotion race and then have to go through the playoffs. Now, I had a look earlier. Your 4 playoff wins, 4.
Yeah.
3 times you were the highest ranked team, twice with Notts County and once with Plymouth. Talk about the tension between going from the automatics into the playoffs. And are we likely to see Sunderland's record of 90 points and not getting promoted be broken this season?
Well, it's got a good chance because these teams we're talking about have got so many, they're going to get so many points on board. So it won't surprise me at all. I mean, I think when you finish the next one up, yes, you might be disappointed that you've not got the automatic, but psychologically, your lads, you tell your lads and everything that you are finished 3rd for a reason because you're the 3rd best. You're the best of the rest of them, and you should go up if the lads play anything like the normal game, and that's what you have to stress really, and not worry too much about. I think it was Huddersfield when we finished 6th and got promotion. Where I use psychologically the other way then. About who do want to play Huddersfield, finish 6th, and we used it the other way. But I think when you finish the next one down, you've just got to get on with it. You want to get on with it, and you've got a great chance because of the season that you've had.
If this does end and Leeds, Leicester and Southampton go up, and then from the other way, Burnley, Luton and Sheffield United come down, how are you going to feel about that? Is it going to be an outlier, or is that just a big flag waving about the difference in the money in the Premier League to the Championship and how hard people are finding it to get up and stay up?
I think everybody knows that money talks in the Premiership. It's but you've got to spend the money well. I mean, you wouldn't. I'm going back to Ipswich again now. You wouldn't have thought they would have been in the same bracket as the 3 teams you've mentioned, Leicester, Leeds, Southampton, but they are. And I don't think money is the answer to everything. I think that money helps you, and you've got to improve your squad when you go up. But you've got to not make the mistake of spending money for the sake of spending money, because you've got to buy better players than what you've got. And sometimes you panic and you buy players because you haven't been able to buy anybody, and you get the wrong players in. They're wrong for your dressing room. The ability is not any better than what you have. So I think your recruitment's got to be spot on, mate. But I don't think it's been very good for the Championship, seeing the 3 teams that's going to come back down. I was hoping that, obviously 1 or even 2 of them would stay up. But like I say, the money situation now is so much in the Premiership that I think, it's very difficult to compete with them when you go up. But I do think it's possible. You see, like, for example, Burnley. I thought Burnley were a better team last year in the Championship than they were this year. And I don't think Vincent will mind me saying, but they had 3 or 4 loan players last year out of this world. So if it had been the other way around and they got 3 or 4 good loan players this year, it might have been a different ball game. So it's and Luton have just done fantastic, haven't they? You know, to even be there. So it'll be interesting. I think when you look around now, these next 2 weeks, I'm fortunate to be doing Sky. I'm doing Leicester on Tuesday. Well, I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm doing Leicester Southampton game, and then I've been invited to do the final day. Well, I dread to. We don't even know where it's going to come from yet, because there'll be so many tosses of a coin, won't there? What could happen? I could be anywhere on the final day.
Send you somewhere on a helicopter.
Yeah.
So when you're not known for getting promoted out of the Championship, you're known for these miraculous sort of feats of saving teams, particularly Rotherham and Huddersfield. And it looks like we've got a Neil Warnock special survival shootout this weekend between Birmingham and Huddersfield, where basically, if you lose that game, you're going down, I think. How on earth do you prepare for a game like that?
Well, I know what I do, but I honestly don't know what the managers will do in the two clubs involved. I'm sorry, I'm disappointed to see where Huddersfield are, because when I left them in September, I felt I said I'd do a season for them, and I thought if I took them till January, we'd almost be safe by then, and then a new manager could come in, and it didn't work out. I was asked to leave in September, and the decisions that they made haven't really been the correct ones. They've really gone the other way. So I'm disappointed, because I think the squad's a good squad, mate. And I'm hoping that they can still claw their way out of it. But it's going to, like you say, it's going to be very difficult. They're at Ipswich the last game, aren't they? So I might even be down there. For the last game.
Oh, and you'll be very welcome. On this channel, Neil, we did some videos called Championship Cheat Codes, where we looked at some of the greatest individual performances by players in the Championship, and we sort of did Mitrovic and Grealish and Buendia, etc. All anybody asked about, and you know where this is going, the one player they wanted to ask about was Adel Taarabt.
Yeah, I know.
Is that the greatest individual season by a Championship player ever?
I think it's the greatest individual season by a manager ever. to be able to get the best out of Adel, and some of the escapades I had to put up with and get up to with the team, it was something different to what
all anyone was asking me about.
I know, something different to what I've ever experienced before. And when I said to you, I am doing some shows. And when I'm talking at the shows, I actually go into details about Adel. And it gives you an idea of how difficult it was, but how rewarding to see somebody like that, because that's what fans pay to do. They pay to watch people like that, don't they? To see somebody that can do things with a ball that nobody else can. And I was very fortunate that I managed to get a season out of Adel. And, just fantastic memories. And QPR fans, I don't think they'll ever forget it.
No, it's legendary. I read your book, Neil, and you talk about head it, kick it defenders. Now, this season in the Championship, the top three players who have made the most passes per game are all centre backs. So are you going to be now changing that to pass it, head it, kick it? Talk about the role of centre halves.
Well, I think all centre halves, it's probably before your time, but I think all the centre halves today want to be like Beckenbauer. I don't know whether you remember him at your age.
I remember him managing Germany, not playing.
All right. Well, he was a hell of a centre half. He was a little bit like Van Dijk, very comfortable on the ball, came forward, Rolls Royce, and a lot of the centre halves of today visualise that is how they are, especially with the modern day where they want to. Everything's got to be taken short and pretty pass at the back. So yeah, head it and kick it. That's how I like my centre halves. But I also want them to play. But I think the first and foremost as a centre half, I don't want them to play when it's not on. I don't want them to worry about having to boot the ball up the pitch or kick it out of play rather than try and be clever. Because a good centre half doesn't give anything away. And that changes. Whether it was when I first started all them years ago or now, it's the same principle. Defend, kick it and head it, and play when you can.
Love it. Can I do a few quick name association? If I say a name, you tell me the first thing that springs into your head.
I can try.
Simon Jordan.
Fantastic person. One of the best chairmen I've ever worked with.
Nuno Espirito Santo.
Oh, I've loved him. I like Nuno. We had a right spat, as you know. He never shook my hand after we missed 2 penalties in extra time. And he was celebrating everything. I was waiting to shake his hand and put my hand out, and he never shook. So I went off, and then he chased me around the pitch, and I said, "Oh, get off! You know, I don't want to." But I saw him the following week, and we made up. And I like him. He's a lovely person, a nice man, and you know, I've got nothing but good things to say about him.
Paddy Kenny.
Well, I mean, I've had him that many times. He's almost like my son, isn't he, really? Spoke to him the other night. He rang me the other night with his mother on the line. She was telling me our her favourite. So I think, good keeper. I think your goalkeeper is vital. I think good goalies are judged on how many mistakes they make in a season. And you could count on one hand how many mistakes Paddy made in a season. And that I think that's what you need as a goalkeeper.
Now, following your footsteps as a manager, it serves you right, Kevin Muscat.
Well, I'm hoping he's changed as a person. I mean, I've never seen anybody as cold-hearted, horrible, nasty tackles in my life as Kevin's. Intentional as well. But I think we all do things when we're younger, and I'm sure he's learned from that. And I think probably regrets some of the things in his career. But wish him well. I wish all young managers a success.
And finally, the number one now, Pep Guardiola.
Well, what can you say about him? I mean, I met him a few weeks ago, and I covered Man City, and he asked me if he could pick my brains. I thought, asking me if he could pick my brains. He's just one of the best in the world, and but he doesn't complicate it. I think Shankly once said, the game's simple. It's the players that complicate it, make it difficult. And Pep doesn't. They all know what they're doing, the movement. I'll just give you an example. When I was at Cardiff, we played them one day, and we did all right at Cardiff. We had a couple of chances early doors, and 25 minutes, and it might be 30 minutes, 0-0. And I thought, we're doing well here. And we went in at half-time, 3-0 down. And Silva, I think it was David, no, not Bernard, it was. He scored a goal the third goal. And I'm on the bench. And don't forget, I'm the manager. And I'm saying, what a fantastic goal that is. You just had to, the way that they played in the last few years. I thought David Silva was my favourite. He wasn't everybody's favourite. He wasn't one of the big timers. But I love watching David Silva. When I was younger, I know it's before your time, Bobby Charlton was a similar player. And when I was watching Bobby Charlton, I used to think, what a lazy person he was. But he's not lazy. They just know where to go to pick the ball up. They read the game so well. They make it look so simple. And that was David Silva.
Amazing. So the Neil Warnock Are You With Me tour visits York, Nottingham, Ipswich, Wimbledon, Portsmouth and Cardiff through May and June. Neil, you say the thing you miss about management, excuse me, is the banter. I'm sure my subscribers would appreciate. Would you like to give any feedback on my haircut or my shirt?
No, I mean, I would normally, if I'd have said, if I'd have had you sat aside of me, I would have said something like, what's your grandmother wearing today? Because you've obviously pinched her dress. Something like that, but the hair, no, I think it's good, the hair. I mean, when you get older, you lose your hair, but as you can see, there's no pressure, no stress in the job that I've been in 40 odd years. It's a piece of cake.
On behalf of all fans of the Championship, thank you for all those moments and all of the funny quips and the great goals and Adel Taarabt's season and getting promoted with Cardiff with a top scorer who only scored 8 goals, all the playoff wins. Thank you from Championship fans.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Cheers, son.